Welcome to Insights of All Trades with Cole and Nick. This is where we talk to people we meet along our journeys through medicine, military service, sports, education, and beyond. We hope you enjoy. All right. Happy New Year from Insights of All Trades. This is probably going to hit you like 3 months late, as most of them do. But anyways, it's actually January 1st here. We decided to do a little bit of like a recap episode. I don't know if it's really going to be like a recap thing, but we got the squad back together without like an actual guest, I guess. And figured we'd just see where it takes us. So
we got that 2020 vision.
Yes, we do.
And we're unveiling Hunter for the first time.
What's up?
This elusive man. Some said that he,
Hey, man.
wasn't actually real, but alas, here he is in person, actually human.
Yeah, so this would be fun. I guess what we could start it off with, you just went on like a hike, like 3 days ago? Something like that.
Yeah, a hike was an understatement.
Yeah.
So I was already planning on trying to do something that was very physically challenging, and we were planning on anywhere from like a 25 to a 29 mile day, roughly, on the Standing Stone Trail, starting at 1,000 steps and going to Greenwood State Furnace. And it turned out that I did very improper trail research, and I also realized afterwards that I did not account for some things like elevation into the mileage change and stuff like that, which I don't know how much it changed, but regardless, I did a very poor job calculating trail mileage, and we put in an over 40 mile day in about 16 hours, and it was a super rocky trail. There was a point where we pretty much just bouldered for like more than a straight mile. Yeah, it was wild. Our feet were destroyed, and I think we had like 3 full descents up some very high ridges. If anyone listening knows where 1,000 steps is, that mountain alone is a wild ascent descent, and they were all about equivalent to that height. So it was hard.
Jeez. What kind of injuries did you come back with this time?
It's mainly actually, as soon as we started, or I should say maybe like
I knew there was gonna be something.
Yeah, I'm never not hurting myself for some odd reason.
Yeah.
Like 8 miles deep, my left knee was like killing me, and luckily my friend Tyler Hershey, who was our last episode, was along, and he had a bunch of ibuprofen with him. I shouldn't say he didn't have buckets of ibuprofen with him, but had a family-friendly 600 milligrams worth of ibuprofen to the dome to start alleviating my knee pain. So that was good. I don't even know what happened, because there wasn't like an exact point where I took a misstep and my knee started hurting, but it started hurting in what felt like some tendon or ligament in my knee. I don't know my musculoskeletal system very well for my knee ligaments and tendons, but it's definitely something in there, because like every step I took, even just like the flexion of the knee hurt alone, even when I didn't step. So it's like, oh man, I could be in for a really rough day, even when I thought I was going to hike a 26 mile day. Anyway, tough through that. I'd say
did the ibuprofen wipe it out?
It made it better.
Yeah.
Alleviated it. Yeah. By the end of the day, totally wrecked.
Yeah.
Because he only had like the 3 200 milligram tablets worth, so I took all that we had, and I didn't get to re-up on that good, as they say.
Was it like, do you think it was something with your shoes, or do you think you like tweaked it or something?
I probably took a dumb step.
Okay.
If you're bouldering that much, I can see that.
Yeah, and a couple things made the day especially challenging. The obvious miscalculation of mileage made it pretty demoralizing.
So wait a minute, you thought you were doing 26 and you ended up doing 40?
Yeah, more like it's like 41. Yeah,
it's like doubled it.
That is like a huge
almost. And to be a ridiculously large.
Was it like you missed the turn or something, or you just actually thought it was only?
So we did add an extra 2 miles on from missing a turn.
I was gonna say, didn't you Snapchat me or send me a text or tell me then that you guys went in a circle 3 times before you realized it was the wrong way. Or you
Yeah,
had
so
done that?
yeah, roughly. So we missed. It's a blaze trail, and we missed a switchback, and we kept going for maybe like not too far, maybe 50 to 100 yards, because it still seemed like a trail. We just couldn't see the blazes. And then there wasn't like another orange blaze, and it slowly took us on a big loop to get back on the normal trail. And it wasn't until we were on the loop for almost the second time when my friend Maverick, who was with us, was like, "Hey man, I'm pretty sure we already hiked here." And Hershey and I were like, "Nah, you're crazy." And we continued to discount Maverick and continued hiking forward. And Tyler and I were like, it's just, PA hiking. Everything looks the same. And Maverick was insistent, was like, "I'm pretty certain that we saw all of this." Then as we went further, Tyler and I were like, "Oh man, some of this is looking similar." And eventually we realized that we were seeing everything for the second time, but we didn't know that we missed a switchback until we continued hiking the loop to find Buddy Switchback. And then we took a break, realized we added an extra, who knows, anywhere from 2 to 3 miles. But since we were like really taking it slow when we realized that we messed up and we didn't know where we messed up, we were like really baby walking the trail, trying to keep our eyes out for like what could have possibly went wrong. And that was full daylight at that point, so it was pretty sad that we missed a switchback. But that added those extra 3 miles. And then just at the end of the day, when we had miles 33 to 41ish to go, and our legs are wobbly and we're beat up, and people are semi-frustrated with Cole for his poor trail research. And it's winter, so it gets dark at like 5. So right when it was getting dark at like 5, we had 8 or 9 miles to go. I'd probably say like 8 miles to go when it was like blackout. And that's when the trail got to its worst. And that wasn't even a trail, it just felt like bouldering. So we couldn't even like get a good like 20-minute per mile pace going. I think there was 1 mile that it took a full hour to get a mile, because we were just like slowly bouldering, and it's in the dark and it's wet, and you have headlamps that like only show like who knows how many feet in front of you, and you're still trying to like look for the blaze trail thing so you don't like get lost. So it was rough. We started at 4:30 in the morning, got done at like 8:30 at night.
Jeez.
Oh yeah.
Now, was that bouldering as bad as that the back road to Lewistown, the one we went up?
Oh no! So it
It's
wasn't
not
like
that.
Yeah. So
Because I was like, man, if it was that had to suck.
the time that we did that, we were like on all fours bouldering. We were at least like kind of walking through it, but you still often had to like use your hands. It was like almost like a flat bouldering.
Yeah, but still not fun to walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably like 45 degrees or so out.
Luckily, we had a good day. Yeah, it was probably like 45, which I mean, compared to weeks before, that could have been a lot worse.
Pretty good for that this time of year.
Yeah, luckily. And to make the recovery part worse, the next day I got like a bad GI infection, and
that always happens.
Yeah.
What are you doing out there? Like drinking just like mud water or something?
Yeah, I don't know how he does that.
Yeah, pretty much. We had a water filter, so we were trying to get it, a little less muddy. And it's not that I thought it was. I really don't think it was that, because they didn't get like a real bad GI infection. We were drinking like from the same filter. But for whatever reason, I did get a bad infection. And not to go too much into gory detail, but my fluid ins did not match my fluid outs. And I lost it probably like 7 or 8 pounds in like a 5-ish hour window. And it was rough. And it's like the day after, I didn't eat any, with the exception of a couple eggs in the morning. The whole next day after that 40 miler, I had no solid food.
It sounds like a new like pill you could invent for wrestlers, like
Or like just
before
weight
you
loss
gotta,
in
yeah,
general.
before
Just
you
get a
have
GI
to make
infection.
weight, you know.
Yeah, wait.
To
Just
be
get
totally
Chest
honest,
infection, and you just drop like 8 pounds
8
of water
pounds,
weight.
yeah.
that's like in my head during wrestling season when I get sick. It's
Oh,
such a
my
messed
word.
up thing to think about. But it's like
That
how,
you want a GI infection?
you don't want it, but when you have it, you're like, at least I'm losing weight.
It's beneficial. Yeah.
I felt like that every time I've gotten sick in wrestling season.
Yikes. So Hunter was saying you guys might do another thing where you like basically race the canoes or something like for 20 some miles.
Yeah, I don't really know the gist of it. I just know that Hunter and our other friend Corey will probably get in a canoe, and
Hunter didn't seem like he
I
wanted to do.
I don't know if it's gonna
Hunter
be
may
me.
have, there might be some trouble convincing Hunter.
There's gonna be
Strap
some
him to the
trouble
canoe.
with
Because
it.
every canoe trip, Hunter's the most frustrated with our speed.
Well,
Yeah.
this sounds like it's gonna be an all out just like
But-
race basically.
Well, this one at least I'd go in knowing that we're going all out. Usually we do like an annual kayak trip over 3 days, and these guys were like, "Dude, this is gonna be fun. We're just gonna float down the river and stuff." And then they're like, "Let's go, not stopping." And I'm like, "Holy cow, dude! I just want to have a good time. Like this is a good time. I'm like, it's not a good time."
well, explain this one that you might be doing.
So Corey came up with the proposal, but what
Out
he
of
wants
nowhere.
to do, out of nowhere, is I race him and some other person in a canoe where it would be roughly 18 miles on land and roughly 30-ish miles in the canoe. He's depending on the like flow rate of the river, he's willing to like add or subtract mileage to make it like as close as a race as we think we can make it.
Is it supposed to end in the same spot?
Yeah. Which
The Mifflin Walking Bridge or something like that. right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can like you would have to add it to your thing, right? It's not like you can add it to. Like,
Yeah.
they can't just add mileage
Yeah.
to the river. you know
But
what I
they
mean?
can start further up.
Oh,
river.
I see. Okay.
So that would be a fun, torturous thing to do. I'll probably go into that without training at all and just make my legs run for 18 miles.
Are you gonna be the one to plan out your route?
No, Corey has it planned. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it'd be like a full marathon day if I planned it out. It wouldn't be the first time I went into a marathon untrained, so
Is that something you're gonna do this winter? You think?
I think it will probably be spring break, like first week of March, if I venture to guess.
Nice.
But he originally said he wanted to do it over the winter, didn't he? Because he said loser has to swim in the river or something.
Yeah, I
And I
did
was
not
like-
want to be a part of that.
It's like
Too bad.
I feel like he was just sitting there like, how can I make this worse than it already is? And he's like, there it is. Loser has to swim.
Yeah,
But I
I don't
think
want to get
I
hypothermia.
volunteered just to get in regardless. I'm pretty sure I did. I'm pretty sure Corey said loser jumps in the river, and I was like, if it's Cole because he's by himself, I'm like, I'll jump in with him. Corey's
Oh,
like,
jeez.
that's
I wouldn't.
that's the
You don't even know Cole.
that's just the bad part. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah. Go to the tire swing thing or whatever.
The rope
Yeah.
swing.
Just go.
Dang, the rope swing's one of my favorite things about Juniata County. Real talk. It's such,
Really talking up the county.
Talking
it's,
it up, yeah.
it's such a hidden gem.
Mm.
Good days at the rope swing. Anyway, the thing with that race that Corey wants to do is it's not like I would just be like running along the road. I would get onto the road at some point, but part of it would start as a hike, so it's not like I can just like deadbolt and run, especially because I'll probably, of all people, like misstep and destroy myself. So
I think you wouldn't get on the road till you got in the Gus's Park, right? Or I guess this road's back there. Didn't it go through there?
yeah, I think the bulk of it would be through Licking Creek, which, if anyone's listening and is not familiar, it would just be like a dirt road for most of it.
And it's also spelled creek, by the way. But
And
we
which
say
is-
creek.
It's
so-
the Juniata
Yeah.
jargon.
Sorry.
Jargon.
I say creek. I get
You
get
say
yelled at
Licking
for-
Creek?
I live back Licking Creek, and I say creek, and
You
everyone
can't
here
say
says
that.
creek, and they're like, "Stop that!"
Yeah.
and I'm like, I can't
Everything
say it.
else, like it's like the Tuscarora Creek. It's like
Yeah,
you know what I
that's
mean?
like
But
the
it's just
only
Licking
one. I
Creek.
feel like, yeah.
Licking Creek till the day
I don't-
I died.
I feel like I just don't say it out of spite because people around here are like Licking Creek. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do it.
I'm not stooping to that level. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is. Should we? I was gonna like steer it off, but do you have more stuff to say about the?
Not really. It
Okay.
was a very physically punishing experience, and it's fun to see what your body's capable of.
Yeah. So I was gonna say it is January 1st, 2020. Do you want to like? Should we like talk about like our last year, I guess, and
Yeah, dude.
see what we want to do this year? What's your like? What's your what resolution? You know?
Oh, New Year, new me.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I'm like 2 feet shorter than you guys in this chair right now. Because of I don't know.
I've been kind of slouching. I think if I
Yeah.
stand up straight,
There you
sit
go.
up straight, yeah, probably.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I never really do make a New Year's resolution, but it's fun to like.
I do
think
kind
what
of have I have never wanted to make a New Year's resolution because in my head it bothers me to act like the number changing on the calendar in its own right affects you in any way, because it doesn't.
Well, yeah, but the nice thing is, it's like, well, now I know when I started that. Like, if you're like trying to lose weight or something, if you started on like August 14th, like it's a little bit harder to remember, but it's like, oh, I started on the beginning of the year in 2020. It's like, and now here it's like 5 months later, and this is what I look like.
That's fair.
But
I feel like
that's like the only thing I really can like justify it as, I guess.
if you're waiting though to like start something because of a date, it's like, dang, how much extra like motivation or anything like that will the date really add to it?
Yeah, unless you like find, because everyone's like trying to do their own new like shit, you know what I mean? Like if you find like a gym buddy or something that like decides they want to do the same thing, then it's like easier to motivate yourself maybe. I don't know.
I feel like that they don't get followed through with a lot of the time.
Oh yeah.
I think it's roughly 80%. There's a roughly 80% fail rate on New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just speaking like anecdotally. The gym that I go to in Pittsburgh, it's like packed for probably January through March, and then it like dwindles down. And
to the people that actually
yeah,
care about it.
it really sucks going in January through March because there's just so many people there. But I think that's like pretty much every gym probably.
Yeah.
'Cause that happened back when I was in undergrad too. But I mean, I guess yeah, if you can get like someone that's like gonna keep you accountable for that kind of stuff, you'd probably find them around the same time.
Yeah, fair enough. But anyway, I beat around the bush. Here, I actually do feel like I have a New Year's resolution, and it wasn't because I like sat and waited on it, because I feel like if you find some meaningful change, you should just do it. But anyway, I thought of this like 2 days ago, so I was like, might as well chalk this up as a New Year's resolution, and it is to have 0 complaints, literally, not only the rest of the year, but just permanently.
That's
I complain a lot.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do that.
yeah, I love complaining.
I like,
so.
yeah.
I think I should add like the caveat that I think it's important that you can talk about things that are bothering you in like a pretty objective way, especially when it's things that can be changed, because otherwise if you don't like address things that could be made better, I don't know, I think that would just be like a pretty, poor way of approaching things.
Yeah. Is this
But-
coming from the Jocko book you read, Extreme Ownership?
It might be influenced by that. What really inspired it is every couple of months I re-listen to this podcast from Ben Pekulski. He has the what was the Muscle Expert podcast. It's now called the Muscle Intelligence Podcast. He was a Mr. Olympia competitor, now a podcaster, and like performance coach. And in his first podcast that he did for the Muscle Intelligence Podcast, it's called his 44 Success Principles. And like his second or third success principle is stop complaining, don't ever do it again, it robs you of your power. And I was like, dang. So I just re-listened to that a couple of days ago. I was like, that seems like a worthwhile thing to call a New Year's resolution. So here I am on a journey to never complain again.
Hey. I feel like you're like one of the few people I know that can listen to those like motivating podcasts or like read those motivating books and like actually take it to heart and like do it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like a lot of people will listen to it and it's just like, yeah, I mean that sounds good, but like
I'm like, that's a cool quote, and then it's kind of just
yeah,
goes by.
that's how I am too. It's like, but like you actually take it to heart and like are like, yeah, that's awesome advice and I'll do it.
That's something I can incorporate into my life. I feel like you're pretty good at doing that. But
yeah, and I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out like
It depends who it's coming from. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be thrown under the umbrella of like self-help related people, or like, you know, I don't know, like the cliche self-growthy sounding things. It has to come from someone, in my opinion, that I really look up to in the first place. So that way I know whatever things they're putting out there that they subscribe to.
Somebody that's already accomplished like the advice that
Yeah.
they're giving you. Yeah.
I don't just want to listen to like a YouTube motivational video from someone that I don't know who it is. And they're just like trying to get you pumped up. I don't really.
AKA us. On, like,
Yeah.
30% of the podcast.
Yeah. Every opening insight that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's us, dude. Yeah. I don't feel like I care about those like, transient motivation, like get pumped up type things. I want to hear like tangible takeaways that I can apply. So yeah. Anyway, I'm hoping that, well, not hoping, I'm just committing to not complaining again. And I feel like there will be people from the outside that might hear me talking about something that I think could be improved upon, or maybe something that I just want to get off my chest and try to talk about it, objectively. And it might be easy to cast stones, be like, okay, clearly this guy is complaining. And maybe I am, and maybe someone needs to call me out. But it's something that, it's one of those things I think you just have to hold yourself accountable for. Yeah. And if you're in the mindset of just like, you're just complaining for the sake of being heard, or like trying to get pity, or actually talking about something that needs to be talked about.
Yeah. I mean, it is fun to complain though. Sometimes. At least
I just like bitching.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I feel like it gives you some common ground with people sometimes too, especially like in your classes and stuff. If you just like, everyone's just complaining about the same class, it kind of.
I agree. It frustrates me, but I know you're right. Yeah. I 100% agree.
I don't know. I mean, yeah. I guess I don't see. I mean, I understand how it is a bad thing, but I think there are still like silver lining, like positives of complaining a lot. Like it lets you vent. It lets you get stuff off your chest.
Yeah.
And it also like can kind of like bring you closer to other people. I don't know.
That's fair.
I'm just like making an argument for why I'm gonna keep complaining. Probably.
I feel like
debate me. No.
We're gonna fist fight by the end of this podcast.
We need a sign in front of this table to like change my mind.
Yeah. I feel like, where the heck was I gonna go with this? It was important. And at least in my head, it was important to bring up.
No, but totally, if you like complain about everything and all the time, like you're just complaining, that is a very like toxic thing to do, and it's not. I feel like that leads to like depression and anxiety and all that sort of stuff, and it also like people do really get tired of hearing you complain all the time if that's all you do.
What I was thinking of is that I feel like a lot of complaints come from a place of like, either A, trying to establish common ground, or B, genuinely wanting someone to feel pity for you. Yeah. I feel like I think you could make the argument that you can establish common ground, but so rarely, especially if it's someone that you're not close with, and someone just like complaining for the sake of being heard, you never feel bad for someone complaining, at least in my opinion.
But the common ground thing is totally like, if you just sat through like a 3-hour lecture and you're just like, walking out with something like, dude, that was so boring. It's like, I mean, that's like a starting point, I guess, of talking, but I don't know.
And we also, like, on the flip side of that, kind of, at least speaking for like my own student culture, but I feel like it's probably like this throughout all of academia, you kind of separate yourself in what seems like a kind of lonesome way if you are the type of person that you're walking out and you're like openly being like super pumped about the lecture and stuff like that. And I'm not saying I'm trying.
I'm sorry.
Trying to flip flop, and I'm not saying I'll be walking out of Wilkes Pharmacy lectures just like bowing down to the professors.
Yeah. There is definitely like there's a line.
Yeah,
for sure. Because like you do. There's a point where you need like the constructive criticism, and sometimes it just falls on like, what, closed ears. I don't know what the saying is.
Deaf ears.
What?
On deaf ears.
Deaf ears. Yeah. It's just like, sometimes you're just bitching to bitch, but like sometimes like you do make change by not necessarily complaining, but pointing out like faults and things.
Yeah.
But
which I think should be brought up.
Yeah.
On a different note, do you have any New Year's resolutions?
I have New Year's resolution. I I haven't really thought about it.
You better start thinking.
I'm
dude.
thinking about it now.
Already happened.
I don't know. I probably like get my study habits down a little bit better because I waste a lot of time. Like I will sit down and study, like in quotes, for like 8 hours or something, but like 60% of it I'm like browsing YouTube or like checking Twitter or something. You know what I mean? Like I need to get it. I need to figure that out, I guess. And that's kind of like not necessarily just like a New Year's goal, but something I need to just like do regardless. I've been trying to, and I'm getting better at it, but it's tough to like sit there all day long and keep engaged with like the same bland material.
I agree. I gotta move around, like
Yeah.
change scenery, like study for an hour, and then just go somewhere else. So that way I have like a little bit of recovery time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, mix it up, things like that. But I don't know. I'm about to hit the board study period in a couple months. That's going to be rough because I've talked about it like probably a bunch of times on this podcast already. But like we have to just study straight for like 6 weeks, like 12-hour days, 7 days a week. And it's just, I don't know that my like study habits are in the right, space right now for me to be able to do that. So I need to work on that throughout the next couple months for sure. But other than that, I mean, it seems weird, but I actually have like a huge list of movies and TV shows I'd like to get through because I feel like I haven't seen enough of like pop culture and things like that where people will be talking about stuff and I'm like, what? I haven't seen it. Like I haven't even seen Star Wars.
Dang.
Yeah, I know. So it's like I got to see that kind of stuff so I can at least get references and stuff.
Any of it?
So I saw one of them. I saw the very first one, I think, episode 4 that came out it came out in theaters. They like re-released it in 3D and stuff. And I saw that whenever that happened, like probably 5 years ago. And then I saw like the beginning half of the first of the new like trilogy. Yeah. But it was on like a big lawn at Penn State with like a terrible screen and the audio was awful. That's why I left like halfway through. So I don't really know what happened in that. But that's just like one example. There's so many like books, TV shows, movies, just everything I gotta watch and read and like just like kind of get caught up on society. You know what I mean? I've been like too busy with school and just like my own hobbies that I don't know. I feel like I need to like catch up on that other kind of stuff.
Gosh, that kind of resonates, but dang, I really don't like taking the time to
I know, I
learn about
don't, but
like, especially, I feel like there's a lot of fiction people reference, like fiction literature that honestly I just don't want to take the time to read.
yeah, but if they're like the classic things, like I feel like they're probably worth the time, right? And I actually am like slowly starting to get more into like art and literature and like music and stuff like that. That I feel
Lives
like I'll
in
start to appreciate it
Pittsburgh
more.
for 2 years.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, living in the hipster neighborhood and getting. I mean, it's just. I feel like I would appreciate it more now than I would have like if I would have started this resolution thing like 3 years ago. I'll probably still push it off until at least after the board's exams, but try and squeeze things in here and there. What about you, Hunter? What's your resolution?
Dude, I don't know. Probably just to get more of a schedule down than just because I do school online, so it's kind of just like whenever. And then a lot of the time I'm like, I didn't do anything, so I gotta
Yeah.
do all this shit like that was supposed to be done for like a week and like 2 days, and I'm like, man. So just really want to get a schedule down, where I'm not just doing whatever whenever.
Yeah,
That'd
my
probably help a lot.
my school is like basically online. I do
Mhm.
all my classes like through podcasts online and like outside like study resources.
It's insane to me that you go to like 0 lectures.
Yeah,
That's
no,
like,
I
that'd
don't
be
get
like
any
unheard
lectures.
of at Wilkes.
There's like probably out of the 160 of us, like 10 people that go to lecture.
That's crazy.
But I have friends that go to other med schools, and the same thing happens there too. Like,
Really?
yeah, it's just the material. I don't know, like the materials out there that are made like professionally are so much better than like the clinician teacher. Like the clinician knows their stuff that's teaching the lecture to us in class, but I don't know that they know how to teach as effectively. So it's just it's way more efficient to do it on your own. But like it's basically online for me. So I'm in the same boat. Like I'll actually like straight up just waste a day sometimes. I'm like, "Oh my God. Now I really need to like catch up over the next like 4 days." And then I'm behind for like our classes are only like 3 weeks long. So if I miss one day, then I'm behind like for the next 2.5 weeks until we finally get a day where I can like catch up.
You have something like that too. And
Yeah.
it's not a fun time when you put stuff off.
It is
when
not a
it's
fun
such
time.
a short class time.
Yeah, so I guess if we can eliminate some procrastination, maybe.
Yeah, that'd probably be mine. Just eliminate a lot of procrastination because when your classroom's also like your bedroom, dude.
Yeah,
it's a rough time.
I had to split that. I had to make like a tiny little study room in my apartment because I was like, I can't like just lay in bed and study.
I've been going to like Sheets or something just to get out of
Yeah.
just to get out of the environment, but where I can also have Wi-Fi or something, just so I'm like somewhere that's not my room.
Go to the Rutter's gas station gambling center.
Yeah, did you see that? Where they put in like all those slot machines.
There's a gambling center. In
So
Rutgers?
were you ever in Rutgers where that sit down thing was right in the doors?
Yeah.
They just got rid of that. Like, there's no sit down thing anymore. It's just lined with slot machines, like
What?
slot
Yeah.
machines, right? And then they
Jeez.
moved the sitting area like back around the corner.
I don't want to
That's
be
weird.
the one casting judgment here, but dang, I think you might be in a pretty rough place if your day is spent at a gas station in the slot.
Yeah, I
It's
think
not
you
even like
just-
it's a single like little electronic gambling thing. It's like a line of like slot machines.
Yeah, they moved the whole sitting area and replaced it. And it's called their game room or something like that. And I was like, oof.
I can't pass judgment because I just recently started like getting. Okay, I'm getting out of it now. I recently got like a kind of an addiction to sports gambling. So,
Did Andrew get you into that?
No, I actually got
Did
Andrew
you get
into
Andrew?
it.
into
Yeah.
that? Okay.
Unfortunately. So I set a deadline as actually like today as like I was done gambling on them. I made actually a lot of money, but I was like, okay, I have to report this for taxes. So I'm like, I'll put it at the end of the year. So then it's like I only have to do 1 year's worth of taxes. But then like I got this bonus money that came in today. So it's like, oh, maybe I'll have to keep playing. But but that should be a resolution. I should stop with the sports betting. I mean, the thing is, there's so many promos. I guess I'm not sure if it just recently got legalized in Pennsylvania, but like there's a ton of like sports books that just are like opening up in Pennsylvania. So there's like all these promos for all of them. Like the one I started with was FanDuel, which is you get a $500 risk-free bet to start with. So you
They
can
match
This
it,
gonna
right?
have me betting on sports.
Well,
by the end
and
of
Yeah.
this.
isn't there one like every Thursday or something like that? It's like a 25 every Thursday. It's like a 25 up to $25 risk free bet or something like that on one of them.
I'm not sure on
So
that.
it's like every Thursday you could just throw down a couple dollars and they'll match it. So
well,
if you don't want to bet as much, just do it every Thursday.
well,
'cause
there's
then it
one
gets
that
matched
does
if you lose.
pretty much every day you get a 50% boost on like any bet, like so like 50% added to your winnings. So what I've been doing is I'll take the 50% boost on this website, which is Unibet it's called, and I'll say like put down like $25 to win like 60. And then I'll go on another site and bet $30 like on the opposite outcome to win 60. So then either way I win $5. But like I'm never going to win more than $5, but I'm like guaranteed to win $5. You know what I mean? So I've been doing that for a long time now, but it eats up so much of my time and it's only for like $5. So it's like just go get a job and you'll probably make more.
Yeah.
But with the FanDuel thing, you get a $500 risk-free bet in the beginning. So you put down like $500 on whatever, and if it loses they give you $500 back in like bonus money on the site, so you have to play through it to be able to cash it out. But what I did was I did the $500 risk-free bet on something that I thought was going to lose, and then I did like the opposite at the casino in Pittsburgh, and so then it won on the casino one in Pittsburgh, and I lost on the FanDuel and got my money back in bonus money. So I already broke even, and then I had my money back in the bonus money on FanDuel, and then like played through that and like cashed it out. But this is in no way trying to convince anyone to sports gamble, because I'm trying to get out of it. And I'm done. I'm like I know I shouldn't be doing it, so like I'm stopping with it, and don't get into it. But if you do, text me for a referral. No,
Really
I'm just
funny
kidding.
that Andrew got into too was that betting for like RuneScape money or whatever.
Oh jeez, I haven't heard
they've
about
been-
that.
You can gamble like your RuneScape money or something to make it. So him and Logan have been doing that.
Dude, so like you
it's
can win real money with your RuneScape money.
I mean,
Or
you can win RuneScape money, which then you can sell to a site for real money. Like you're not.
You can actually sell it.
You can get in trouble through RuneScape.
Yeah.
It's not like they're ever gonna see it, but you can get in trouble if you're found like trading money or something outside of the game. So what they do is they take like all their money out of the game and they put it on this like website, and it's like tokens on there or something that you can then bet and use for gambling on that website, and then transfer it back to RuneScape or sell it.
Oh,
Or, so
jeez.
you could. There's a guy that literally does it like every day. I guess. I think Andrew and him were talking to him. He makes like $300 a day just like on the side doing that.
Jeez.
300 real like
Is
real
this
dollars
legal?
because probably. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have
Who
no
knows?
clue. But he makes like $300 just like on the side doing that because he like gambles on that stuff.
Jeez. Okay, maybe I
Yeah.
got to get back into RuneScape.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny when they were doing that. I was like,
Yeah,
you
get
guys,
me
man.
a gaming addiction while we're at it too.
Yeah.
I'm so like anti-addictive with gambling. It may be anything, but
yeah, but once
especially
you're
with-
winning, it's like it's tough.
That's fair, dude. I went along with my friends to I'm trying to think of the casino name in Wilkes-Barre, but Mohegan Sun Casino, I think. And the first time you go, you get a $20 voucher, and I was like so set on just making sure I didn't spend money that I had zero cash with me. So that way I came with zero cash. I got a $20 voucher. They make you play through it kind of similar to what you were talking about. And I made $6 whole, and then I left
Dang.
with $6 whole.
So you made 6 plus the $20 voucher?
No, unfortunately not.
Oh.
If I could just cash the voucher, I would
Yeah.
100% have just handed
why
it
they
back
don't let
in.
you do
Yeah,
it.
just like $20, please.
Yeah.
Walk in the next day with a mustache.
$20, please.
Yeah, $20. Yeah, jeez. I don't know. Yeah, I definitely don't recommend the sports betting stuff. I don't know how we got on that topic, but
I was
New
losing all
Year's
my money, dude.
resolutions. You wanted to stop
oh yeah.
gambling.
Speaking of which, I think you have to be 21 to sports gamble, right? Did you guys see that there's I mean, I don't know, it's not that relevant, but like, did you see that the smoking age, like tobacco, has been increased to 21 now
Oh,
in the
no.
US?
Really?
Yeah.
It's not like 18 ever mattered either. I can remember kids that were like
Well, yeah.
16 that were all smoking too. So
Yeah, but I wonder if like a lot of that was coming from like the 18-year-olds that were
I'm
seniors
sure
in high
that they
school.
were getting it, but like I don't remember anyone ever cracking down on like a 16-year-old smoking a cigarette or anything.
No,
you know what I mean?
but maybe now that it's like that's a
Maybe.
2-year, it's like, oh, that's 2
Yeah,
years too
true.
early. Now it's like, now that's 5 years too early.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
I
it is.
think.
It is.
Yeah.
Is
mean,
it
if-
just smokable tobacco?
No, it's all
products?
tobacco and vaping, which is that even tobacco? It's just nicotine, I guess.
I think just nicotine.
So it's probably anything nicotine or tobacco. Would you have to be 20? I guess you'd probably have to be 21 to buy like nicotine gum too, right?
Probably.
That sucks. It's like you
No,
got hooked
I-
on cigarettes
I-
at 18, and now it's like, well,
Yeah,
I
I
can't
doubt it.
smoke for 3 years, but I can't get like
Well, I mean, if
nicotine gum.
you can
either.
get prescribed even though you can buy it over the counter, you can also get it prescribed. So I don't think it would matter
Yeah.
as long as you like saw a physician for it.
So what happens to everyone that's like 18 and they're like hooked on like smoking? They don't. I mean, I guess it's good. It's a good like kick in the butt to like
Did that
stop.
get passed yet? Or
It's
is that
passed.
just-
Yeah.
Oh
it's,
wow.
it's
Is it
passed.
in all like?
Yeah,
all
it's like
states
a
and
federal
everything?
thing. I think Trump signed, and I don't know. I don't think it
No?
was an executive order, but I think he signed the bill into law or something like that.
Dang, buddy, Trump valuing
Yeah.
healthcare.
Yeah, because it's tough. Because it's like, do you get grandfathered in if you're already a smoker? I don't think so. but-
I
Probably
highly
not because they would
doubt it.
approve that. You know.
Yeah.
You'd be just like, I've been smoking.
I used
for-"
to smoke.
Yeah, it's like
I'm
quit for a
18.
while.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't know
I mean,
either.
it's
That's-
good. It is good.
You want to hear something ridiculous?
Yeah.
I was listening to that Ben Pekulski podcast. This is when it was the Muscle Expert podcast, and he had like an expert in nootropics on there. I don't know what his degree or background was off the
So
the
what
top
are
of my head.
nootropics?
Nootropics are any compounds that are supposed to like increase your cognitive performance.
Does caffeine count?
I think. But I don't think it. I don't know.
Sorry,
I don't know.
derailed
I don't
you.
know the nitty gritty details of like how something gets qualified, because it can be like a, you know, it seems like a blanket statement you might have to be weary of on, like, you know, supplements claiming things are nootropics, but like in and of itself, it should be increasing markers like word recall and I don't know, things like that you can use as markers as enhancing cognitive function, I guess. And anyway, I heard on that podcast that nicotine in and of itself can be a reliable nootropic, and he was talking about how as long as you had nicotine intake that was nicotine alone and not through the lungs, he was talking about nicotine gum and lozenges. He said, to the best of his knowledge, like in the literature, there's little to no negative long-term health repercussions of nicotine alone. It's nearly all through either nicotine that's inhaled through, say, something like vaping, most of which problems have to deal with like the respiratory tract when you're inhaling it, and arguably more so, I guess, because of the additives that are in those vaping products, not just nicotine. And then, of course, the smokable tobacco. Tobacco in its own right has over like 11,000, or cigarettes, I should add, not specifically tobacco. So like cigarettes and cigars have upwards of over 11,000 chemical compounds that you're taking into your system, many of which can be carcinogenic. So I was becoming increasingly convinced that I was like, dang, maybe nicotine could be like a safe nootropic. And even though it would like be kind of taboo, I guess, to be someone that like puts out there that they really value their health and they're like buying nicotine gum, they might be like looked down upon it. But I mean, if it's the best way to do something, who cares what the status quo is, I guess.
Yeah, so I have a funny story. One of my friends that goes to medical school in the Midwest was like, basically just couldn't focus. He's like, I feel like I have like ADHD or something. And he is like, he read something along those lines and he like developed a nicotine addiction to nicotine gum because it was helping him study and he could like focus better and stuff, almost like an Adderall type thing. But
Dang.
yeah, it's like, I definitely don't recommend it. Like, that's
Yeah.
not what I'm saying. It's just that,
Yeah.
I have heard that it works with people. So that's kind of, I don't know, could be something new
Yeah.
and interesting.
Fascinating to think about, regardless. Anyway, I'd never tried it studying, but if you're listening, Mom, sorry, because I'm sure you'll be super frustrated for me trying nicotine. But I did have like a pure nicotine like lozenge, and but I wasn't studying. I was hiking, and I hated it, dude. I
Did you
hated
get like
the
a head buzz or what?
Yeah, the lightheadedness of nicotine was terrible. I was like felt dizzy. I was probably already dehydrated from hiking, which may have like, I don't know, enhanced the like dizziness feeling. I'm not sure, but regardless, I hated it. I was like, dang, it was after that the dizziness. I did feel like more focused, and maybe that like feeling of being more focused would be accentuated if I was actually like studying and not just walking, because that doesn't require a lot of like mental effort, I guess. But it wasn't something that I was like, oh man, I need to hop on this nicotine train. I was like, dang, I really don't want nicotine again at all.
I feel like, so I've only really had like a nicotine buzz or whatever once, and that was when I was like in high school. One of my friends was like dipping tobacco. It's like so gross. But he was like, he's just basically, here, do this. I'm just like, fine. So I dipped it, and it's like my head was literally like buzzing. It was like, bzzz, and I'm just like, I do not like this. Spit it out. I almost threw up actually for the taste, and I was like, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah, that stuff's not a fun time.
No, it's not.
I can remember my little brother got some of my dad's the one time we were little, and he just knew that my dad put it in his mouth, so he like, ate a little bit and swallowed it, and it was just puking for
Oh my gosh, yeah,
a long time. My dad's like,
disgusting.
yep, that's why you don't do that.
Yeah. I wonder if nicotine gum is like less of a dose for it. That like,
I would imagine it is,
the
right?
strength of gum usually comes in like 1, 2, and 4 milligrams, I believe. It's somewhere around there. Same for the lozenges.
Do you know how much would be like in one like pouch or like one cigarette or something?
Oh,
like
no
that?
idea.
I feel like it's probably more because isn't that
I can look
usually?
it up.
Actually,
I was gonna say, isn't that usually used for people that are trying to get away from smoking?
Yeah, so it's almost like a tapering off.
So maybe it's just like a little bit, so that like they still get the feeling, but it's not like as much.
Yeah.
I would imagine, but I don't know.
I'm pretty certain that we are told a good rule of thumb is that a single cigarette is approximately 1 milligram of nicotine. And
Well, I don't know. This is healthline.com. But it says on the low end, a single cigarette may contain about 6 milligrams of nicotine. On the
dang.
high end, about 28 milligrams.
Oh yeah, that's
The
way
average
more.
cigarette contains about 10 to 12 milligrams of nicotine.
Oh dang.
You don't inhale every milligram of nicotine because it does burn, apparently.
Okay.
So maybe it is like you end up getting
Yeah.
like 1 or 2 in the system. I don't know.
No idea. Either
But that
way.
is a lot more than I would have thought too.
So
Let's
maybe the
see.
gum's actually kind of close to it.
Yeah, maybe.
How much did you say the gum was? In
You
the
said it
gum?
comes in 1, 2, and 4. Is that right?
I know not more than 4, but
Yeah.
I've seen different ones. I was definitely 2 and 4. I don't know if I've seen any 1 milligram ones personally. I've seen 2 and 4.
So here's with chewing tobacco. It says nicotine content in a can of dip or snuff is approximately 144 milligrams. So I don't know how many like dips you get out of a can, but that seems like a lot
Turns
too.
Yeah.
Depends who you are too, because there's some people that put like a massive amount in. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So
Let's check out a stick of gum.
Yeah, I feel like right now my biggest vice is caffeine in terms of like cognitive I don't even know if I'd call it enhancement or just
like I'm not
avoiding.
passed out.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so the gum comes in dosages of 2 and 4 milligrams apparently. So
Gotcha.
yeah, less than what the other stuff would be. Yeah, I don't know about caffeine. I haven't really like ever. So I've drank coffee and tea and stuff and all that before, but I've never been like every morning I have to have coffee.
That's this
And
guy.
I'm scared of it though. I don't want that, but I do want it because I don't want to feel tired all day. That's kind of why I did the keto thing. I'm like, I'll do a keto diet instead of drinking just coffee. But that actually worked though. But I don't know. Do you feel like you get negative effects of caffeine? Because a lot of people I know, they'll be like, yeah, if I don't get my coffee, I have like a crushing headache all day.
If I go maybe like 36, 48 hours without caffeine, which is extremely rare that I would let myself go that long without caffeine. But if I would go that long, I would start to get a pounding headache.
Yeah.
really,
Well, so I asked my dad. He drinks like 3 cups of coffee every morning. And I asked him if he ever gets a headache if he doesn't have coffee, and he says no. So I was like, maybe it
but
doesn't happen to
when's the last
everybody.
time he hasn't had coffee?
That's the thing, but I don't know. I feel like there's definitely had to have been times.
Yeah,
I have upwards of like 500 to 600 milligrams consistently every day during the semester, which is
Wait, how much?
like 500 to 600 milligrams, which is like give or take like
day?
like 6 cups of
Jeez,
coffee.
dude. Holy crap.
I usually
That's a
just
lot.
start with like 300 mgs to the
Why don't you just
dome.
take caffeine pills?
I have caffeine pills, but I think
You want the antioxidants and
the
coffee
slow
and all that?
absorption is so annoying that you have to like wait,
Oh.
and there's no like, for me there was never any noticeable like, oh yeah, the caffeine kicked in, I'm really alert now. I never felt that way, and I got like 200
Really?
milligram caffeine capsules. I don't know if it's like limited bioavailability or slow absorption or a combination of the two, but either way, I'd rather just have a liquid that just like quickly gets across your GI tract, and then like 10 minutes after you drink it, you're noticeably more awake. I'm a big fan of that.
Do you drink coffee, Hunter?
sometimes I feel like caffeine just doesn't do anything for me half the
Jeez.
time.
The opposite
I'll
for
drink
me.
stuff.
This
and
guy's
I'm
been living off Mountain Dew since like
That's
Okay.
the 6th grade.
That was I haven't drank Mountain Dew in a while, okay? But we used to. It was bad. But I'm just saying, I feel like sometimes I feel like it keeps me up a little more, but never like I'm like, oh, the caffeine just kicked in. I've never feel like that. In fact, Corey, our one friend, he drinks like a Mountain Dew and he's up for like 2 days. He's like he's shaking and stuff because he
Yeah,
just
that's
never
how
has
I am.
caffeine. And he was over the one time and I downed like 2 energy drinks and fell asleep after like an hour. And he's like, how? And I was like, just, I don't know, man.
No, I
Just
couldn't
didn't
do it.
But I never get a headache or anything if I don't have it. And I don't have caffeine that often. I feel like so. I don't know.
I don't know if I drink like a full cup of coffee, I'll be like bouncing off the walls. Like it's insane. I'll feel like out of my element basically.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. Like I like the feeling, but it's not like it's kind of counterproductive for me because I'm like too amped up.
I love that feeling, dude.
I don't know
I'll
if I
take
can just sit and
pre-workout to
then.
study, so
Jeez.
it's not even like it's just caffeine. I get like the beta alanine. My whole body's like tingling to the point it's like borderline like pins.
See,
and
that makes
needles
me want to get
neuropathy.
up and like go do something, not just sit there like
Sit there and try and
let me
focus.
just
Yeah.
you know.
I'm like bouncing in my
highlight this page.
chair.
Yeah. Jeez. No, I couldn't do that.
Before exams too. I'm walking and I'm like so pumped.
I feel like I've tried like coffee and stuff before exams, and then it just makes me have to pee in like 30 minutes. I'm like, God.
Yeah.
Now I gotta finish this exam quick so I can go pee.
So I'll piss my pants.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, caffeine's quite the vice. If I don't know if I'll ever in my entire life totally taper off caffeine, but it would be best if I taper down to like 1 to 200 milligrams a day. Yeah.
I wonder if caffeine will ever be regulated like as a drug. You know what I mean? Probably not.
I don't
mean, it's
see
so
that happening.
it's
I don't
so
know.
yeah. I guess things are also I don't know. Like with the tobacco, it's definitely going towards like more regulated, but some things are becoming less regulated again. Like the psychedelics are making a comeback through research and all that, and I feel like marijuana is becoming legalized all over the place. So it wouldn't really make sense for them to
Crack
crack down
on
on
caffeine.
caffeine. But it is interesting. I mean, it's 2020. Never know what's gonna happen in the next 50 years or whatever. When the AI runs everything.
Ooh.
Ooh. We'll see. They'll be like, no, caffeine's bad for you. Maybe it'll be good.
They probably just would kill us and not care about
yeah.
caffeine.
Take all our coffee. I don't know. It'd be interesting, but
So flipping the script, 2019. Give me. We'll start with you. We'll go around the table.
all right, start with
boy.
me. All right.
Your 2019 synopsis, as deep or as not deep as you want.
All right. Let me think. So
Can hit me with like a couple high points and then any. I don't want to like make it negative, but either like lessons learned or like I don't want to say something with a negative connotation, struggles or something.
struggles. Yeah. All right. Let's see. So high points. I actually have a ton of fun with this podcast, and I think this is like one of the definitely high points of 2019. Even though like I know we're not like the best at it, obviously, but it's super fun. And so I think this is something I would kind of not want to focus on necessarily because I got so much to focus on, but like it's something that like I enjoy as a hobby that I could see myself putting more time into it later. Like as I develop my podcasting skills and like find some cool people to talk to and stuff, I think that this is definitely something that I'd like to continue with that came out of 2019. A lot of medical school stuff. I mean, that's pretty much what my whole year has just been, me just sitting with my nose in a book or on my computer, just studying, which, it sounds sad and it is, but there's only 2.5 more years left of it. I had a great time with the Army over the summer, which is really reassuring because, I know I wanted to do the Army stuff. Obviously, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't want to, but you only know so much going into it. You've talked to a recruiter and it's like, yeah, that sounds like something I really want to do. And like you talk to people and it's like, yeah, that sounds like something I would want to do. But without ever experiencing it, I still had a lot of like nervousness of like, if I hate this, I am signed up with this for the next 12 years. So it was really reassuring to know that, I had a positive experience with it. And I'm actually really looking forward to going to Texas this coming summer to do a little bit more with that. Let's see, what kind of low points? Med school's a grind, man. That it sucks because there's just so much of just the same stuff all the time. And one thing that's kind of a little bit, worrying is I still haven't really picked what I want to do yet. And there's a lot of people I know around me that are dead set on what they want to do, like orthopedic surgery or like, internal medicine, cardiology, whatever. And I'm still so like stupid and like not stupid, but like stupid on like, I have no idea what I want to do. So that's a little bit worrying, especially going into 2020 where I'm about to start my third year like rotations through the hospitals and stuff.
Well, I mean, that seems like the perfect time
It
to
does.
narrow in on
Yeah.
what you want to do.
But I also, if I knew, if I really knew I wanted to do something super competitive that I would need to crush these like med school boards, I think I'd have a ton more motivation going into this like dedicated study period. With me like not really knowing what I want to do, and I mean, I'm going to try my best to like do as well as I can, but I think it would be nice to have that extra motivating factor. Like I know I need to get like a 250 to be able to do surgery or whatever. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm looking forward to having like more of a clear path. I'm the type of person that likes to have things planned out and likes to know where I'm going with stuff. So I think it'll be good after, hopefully not too much stuff's narrowed down after I take my boards based on my score, but it'll be nice to know like where I can kind of focus my efforts. What else happened in 2019? Not a whole lot, man. Yeah, tried out some fun stuff. Went to Cancun for spring break. That was fun. That was my last ever spring break, so enjoyed it while I could. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna pass the torch over to Hunter here.
Man, I don't know. I've had a lot of fun doing the podcast and stuff. That was a big one also for me. I like that. But I've just been, I don't know, the whole year I feel like I was just doing school and working and then like hanging out with friends when I could. That's pretty much all I was doing. Low point would probably be my car getting smashed by a tree. That was a pretty high. That was a pretty good low point.
It got annihilated.
Yeah, got destroyed. Well, it got smashed, and then we got it fixed, and now I'm driving around a beat up car. Just
can you edit in like a picture of it for?
Yeah, I'll put a picture in. I have a couple, dude.
Nice.
That was a big tree. It went the whole way across the driveway and everything. I remember calling into work and being like, "Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna make it in today." They're like, "Why?" I was like, "I'll send you a picture," because I had like my one coworker's number. I sent it in. They're like, "Holy cow! Like that sucks." I'm like, "Yeah, it does." And it sat there for like, I don't know, 5 days before we could get someone in to help us get it up. And they just lifted it up with a tractor and they just drove it out. And then,
jeez, did you have like a deductible and stuff on your insurance?
No. So the thing was, I was like, the car was already like kind of old and stuff, and I was just like, I'm just gonna get insurance that covers like the other person's car, like if it ever gets smashed or anything. So nothing was covered on mine. And then I was asking my dad, I'm like, do you think homeowners would cover that? He's like, well, it wasn't on our property technically. It was on like my relatives. And I really didn't want to like go talk my like great uncle that I don't even see that often and be like, hey, could you see if your insurance would cover like the car I got smashed or something, and then like try to pay him back or whatever. And I was just like, we'll just let it happen. And then we got the windshield in it, and it works. So I'm driving it. But that was probably the big low point of 2019. But yeah, other than that, that's about it.
How much longer do you have for the film school until you're done?
Oh, that'll be done September of 2020 now.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, so like the end of the summer.
Oh wow,
basically.
Nice. That's actually not that far off.
Yeah, end of the summer, pretty much done.
And then,
so what degree do you get there then?
So it's a bachelor's degree in digital filmmaking.
Oh, nice.
I think is what it is. Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yep. And then, don't know. Looking at going somewhere not here. So New York, Florida, Georgia, Texas, and California are big ones that looking at.
Georgia surprises me out of all.
It was something to do with I learned about it in one of my classes. I forget what it was. One of the laws they have in terms of getting like permits and stuff for films. It's like really good for that for some reason. So a lot of people have their companies or something based out of there. But that's one of them. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yep.
All right, Coltrane.
Oh,
Let's hear it.
are you ready for?
Yeah,
It's gonna be a good
we're
one.
ready.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
know.
I was looking forward to you.
I would say the high point. I don't know if it felt like a high point for me, but just externally, what would be like the clear high point was I had won the Wendell Award for Wilkes, which is like the Wilkes spin on the valedictorian for like the undergrad class. So that was at least like some tangible thing for putting in a lot of time at Wilkes with my head in a book. So that was cool. But I feel like the actual high point, like what I consider the highest point, is I gained more clarity than at nice, dude. For those not watching, Buddy Nick just spilled a little water on himself. The actual high point for me is that I gained more clarity than ever in what I wanted to do, as in for the rest of my life. So I have since crafted a long book in my phone notes called my 50-year plan, which I will probably unveil in a lot more detail at a later time, mainly because I'm egotistical enough to want to like call my shots and have something there so that way decades from now people can look back and see that I shot called everything I was going to do, not only 10 years in advance but 50 years in advance. I think that would be insane, so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to execute. But the most I guess career oriented objective on that list down the line is to become, or I should say lead, like a science driven performance institute for fighters and wrestlers, and so mainly professional fighters and elite wrestlers, since there's no professional wrestlers. They only be the highest level in the US is like collegiate wrestlers and Olympic wrestlers.
WWE.
You probably won't be working with them. So this is actually probably the first time that I'm like putting it out into the universe as far as recording it on something is concerned. But what I have in mind is using like different physiologic markers, maybe as simple as like heart rate variability and resting heart rate trends over the period of a fight camp, to full genomic sequencing, given that it will be a lot cheaper a decade from now, and tailoring the training, recovery, nutrition, supplementation, and medications of these fighters to them, and kind of handling every pillar of performance outside of the actual technique coaching in and of itself. So I wouldn't be a wrestling coach or an MMA coach. I would be the performance scientist overseeing every other pillar of performance. And then that, takes away a lot of decision fatigue and research fatigue from an MMA coach. All they have to worry about is, coaching that sport. And all the fighter has to worry about is training, and doesn't have to know anything outside of what they are curious about and want to know about, their nutrition and sleep and so on and so forth. So what that might look like on a day-to-day basis would be, say, during fight camp, they have like a really hard spar coming up that day. And you, whether by like satellite values or if you're like with them at that fight camp, you see that their pulse ox is low and their heart rate variability is low that day, and you can tell that their recovery wasn't that great the day before, either because they're starting to get sick or they're kind of in a sympathetic nervous system state from like going, and you tell them that maybe it's best to push back that ridiculously hard spar that day because there's going to be like a diminished state of returns from training really hard that day. So that's just like one tiny example of like the kind of like oversight that I want to have over like the performance tiers for fighters and wrestlers. So I'm super excited about that. And one of my best friends plans on like kind of intertwining his path with me, who's in a DPT track, who was on the podcast, Taylor, so that way he has a very high understanding of the biomechanics of fighters, so that way he can really tailor like the physical therapy, whether it's like injury treatment or just injury prevention and risk mitigation, through understanding like the biomechanics of the musculoskeletal system at a really high level, and kind of doing the same thing that I'm doing. I'll just be more specialized in some other areas outside of the actual biomechanics. So I'm super excited about that. That rips me out of bed in the morning, and I have other things down the line. So that was the high point. That took a long time to get out.
What kind of steps are you doing right now and like in the next few years? Are you still thinking like medical school too, or?
The reason that I'm still thinking medical school is to have the prescribing power and like the lab ordering power while working with fighters. And I understand that is a ridiculously long and unorthodox and expensive path to go. But I'm not tied to the journey that it takes to get there. I'm tied to being like eminently qualified. I'm tied to being the absolute best at what I'm doing. And that could mean no more formal education. That could mean MD. That could mean PhD. That could mean MD, PhD track. I'm okay with any of those options. I have like some makeshift rotations that I'm setting up to learn from the people doing things closest to what I want to be doing. And I want to try to pick their minds and find what, if they could go back 20 years and do like the best possible education, whether it's like an informal apprenticeship like thing and teaching themselves or a formal education path. I'm okay with doing whatever. I just want to find out what that best thing is. So that's kind of an objective in and of itself in this 50-year plan, along with paying off student loans 4 years after pharmacy school, just because they're a little hefty.
Yeah. And if you're trying to start up a business, you're going to need a little bit of capital to start that.
Exactly.
I wonder if like getting like something like a 2-year degree, like a PA degree or something where you can prescribe, but under like a physician, if that would be worth it.
Yeah. The only thing would be that have to have like that. I don't know if it would be called a collaborative agreement like it is with pharmacists and physicians, but like PAs have to be under a physician. So it's like I would have to have some physician.
Yeah, but there is that one law that might be going through in Pennsylvania where they might get like to be able to practice on their own.
Whoa.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So yeah, I think so. I think we asked John Hershey about it, and he said it was something like it was in the House part right now or something.
Got you.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll have to look into that a little bit more, but yeah.
I won't forecast every idea I have, only because, not that I'm afraid of being an open book, but it will be a 5-hour dialogue. It likely won't be in PA. Actually, I'm certain it won't be in PA. It'll likely be out west, just because that's where most of the MMA hotspots are. Very good chance that it ends up somewhere in Colorado.
Nice. Yeah. So, all right. How about low point?
Low point, there was a whirlwind from like July to right around now. That was like, just being honest and not in like a seeking pity kind of way, easily the hardest like time segment in my functioning memory in terms of just like internal and external stuff to go through, like hardship to go through, by far like just hardest part of my adult life. And a lot of it was health stuff, like coming back from Haiti, and we had kind of dissected that on a podcast with like all the neurological symptoms that at one point in time I was worried was infectious, and then I thought it was due to the Malarone. And at the point of the time when we did the podcast, I felt very certain that it was the Malarone because the symptoms kind of dwindled down. I was like, oh, okay, those like were just side effect manifestations from the Malarone. And then they resurfaced, and I was like, oh man, this stinks. So it just felt like the best way to...
Are you still dealing with that? Like,
yeah, I feel like very good at mitigating it now. It kind of just feels like I have like concussion symptoms that like come and go.
That still sucks.
Yeah, because the biggest things are like, if you ever had a concussion, of light sensitivity and like a kind of distinctive like cognitive haziness. I don't really know how else to describe it, but it's mainly those two, and also just like neuropathy, like different like pins and needles feelings. So that was like a health thing, and that led to like a lumbar puncture and a bunch of different tests. And then I like hurt my ankle pretty bad, and I was told it was likely a partial tear, but I didn't get an MRI. And a bunch of things unfolded, and I was just like, I just need to do something ridiculously hard. And that's when I was a couple of days off crutches, ran a marathon for like pretty much no good reason besides just wanting to do something ridiculously hard. Got back on crutches.
Yeah, makes sense.
Fast forward a little. Also had like a bulging disc in my spine that led to me not competing for about a month and a half with wrestling. So that was something else I'm still recovering from, but I'm very, very close to 100%, and still like push myself through some hard things like the 40-mile hike, for example. So those were some hard things. And also the hardest thing that I had dealt with, that I won't dissect on the podcast, not for my own personal reasons, was just like a very long lasting, like 4-year relationship had ended. So that of course is going to be like not an easy thing for anyone to walk through.
Yeah, you had a lot going on like many different fronts all at once.
Yeah, so there's a lot of layers to that. And that was something that still is being like not that specifically, but like there's layers to that are being worked through. So I'm excited to keep doing the internal heavy lifting and just like using it as a lesson, because what I'm most grateful for is, at least along the way, I feel like immediately or close to immediately with each of those things, my reaction has been like, whatever is happening to me is the best possible thing that can happen, even if I don't understand it now. And to like genuinely believe that has been very reassuring. And I also still have like wrestling and academia to like channel a lot of like hard work and grit into, which is always like a good, thing to turn to.
Yeah. Slightly off topic. What year were you born?
97.
Okay. Were you also
96?
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
It's me and Hunter's year. I just looked it up. 2020 is the year of the rat.
Wait,
and that also 96 was the year of the rat, so it's the year of the rat.
Yeah, what's up?
So it's our
what
year.
do you mean the year of the rat?
Like the Chinese zodiac sign
yeah.
thing.
Oh.
96 was.
I got distracted. Sorry.
No,
Wait,
it's-
what's 97?
Probably
Ooh, let's see.
some dumb.
97.
Rat's pretty bad. I'll be
Yeah,
honest.
unfortunately,
It's hard to
he's
beat a
gonna be like
rat. I
dragon
mean,
or
come on, you
something.
can't beat a rat. 97's the ox.
Okay, never mind. I'll take rat over that. Sorry.
Over an ox?
Yeah.
A rat?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
You're like...
It's our year. What do you mean? It's not your year. This is our year. Yeah, I don't want to be an ox this year.
The only reason I'm upset that I'm born in 97 is that I missed the generally accepted cutoff for being a millennial, and I'm part of Gen Z. That doesn't feel
Yeah, but I
good,
feel like
dude.
millennials get a terrible rap too.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I feel like Gen Z's rap
You can be
is...
like the leader of the Gen Z. though.
well, there's like that's like an argument, isn't it? Like the one cutoff's like 96, and then some people say like 95.
Yeah,
we'd
'cause
also
sometimes
be-
it's like I don't think I'm a millennial.
Yeah, I
even.
think-
Yeah.
I think it's two different. Like there's a couple different.
Also, who decides that?
I don't know.
Like, who's just like, yeah,
Government?
sorry, this one's done. Starting the next one.
I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I align myself more with
100% I lie myself.
Yeah, more with millennials,
than,
but it's still like what what
The
people
general-
think of as millennials. It's like I still don't feel like I'm like even that.
Fair enough. Well, maybe my preconceived notion of what Gen Z kids get wrapped up with is that they grew up with like technology in their face nonstop.
Yeah,
And like I kind of
that's
did,
true.
but not in a way that I was like, in grade school and junior high.
Yeah,
with
not
my-
until like
Yeah.
8th grade or something when you
Yeah,
get like your
I
flip
feel like-
phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
feel like it was not shoved in our like face when we were younger and stuff. I remember like some friends had like a computer room or something, but like not everybody did and stuff. So I don't think it was.
Yeah, and you had
Whereas-
like you'd get like that one friend on the soccer team that had like an iPhone, and everyone was like, "Oh, can I use that like to look something up?" You know what I mean? Like now everyone's like 6 and they have an iPhone 11. you
Yeah,
know?
it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Back when I was a kid,
Back when
we all had the Motorola like Razr.
Yeah.
Did
Flip
you
phone.
see
Had
the
a
new
camera on
Did
it.
you see the new Motorola
No.
Razr thing? They you've seen the phones with the new foldable screens.
Yeah.
They have a Motorola Razr that flips out.
No
It's
way.
like a
Oh,
screen,
jeez.
but it also costs. I think. Don't quote me on this, but I think it's close to somewhere around $1,300.
Jeez.
So I mean, if you want it, hey.
There are those phones out there that like they made that you can only like make calls and text from, or
Mhm.
maybe you can't even text. I think you can only call from it.
They're for
But
old
like
people.
not even for old people. There's a lot of people that are like,
Just to
I need to
cut
get
out.
off my phone.
Yeah.
Like, and they're
Oh,
just like,
okay.
I'm just gonna have this now where it's like you can only call from it. I feel like I'd almost, I don't know.
Couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it, but it'd be
too
like a
caught up
good
in
like
technology
detox
now.
type thing for like a month.
I would benefit from it for sure.
All my
Oh,
friends
I
would be like, "Why are you calling me? Stop."
I
But-
think my dad complained the other day. I don't have my answering machine set up because like if you don't get through
Oh,
to someone
yeah.
on call, you just text them like right away.
Yeah.
Basically. So like for me, there's really no reason to have my answering machine
No.
set up because everyone just is like, "Hey, you didn't pick up. Like, I'll text you." You know. But he was like. He was bitching at me and my older brother. He's like, "Why do you have your answering machine set up?" We're like, "We don't. No one uses answering machines."
Yeah,
And he's like, "Well, set it up. I'm sick of that."
I feel like
I'm not
even the
getting a hold of
term
you."
answering machine is outdated, right?
Yeah, like voicemail. or
Voicemail,
whatever.
not- yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, I don't have mine set. Oh, no, I do have mine set up,
Your
but
voicemail?
nobody leaves me anything except like the spam callers that like accidentally like
Yeah.
let it go too long, and it'll be like the tail end of like the spam caller. I hate
Yeah,
those
he was-
things. I don't know how they're doing it now. That like the spam calling is coming from our area code, and it'll make it look like it's somebody
Mhm.
that like is just calling
There's
me and he's
people.
getting
My
hold of me.
my grandmother got called from her own number.
Yeah, how does
Whoa,
that?
that's insane.
I don't understand
She's
how
like,
that happens.
Yeah, not picking that up.
Yeah, and it's
I
like,
don't know how they do it either. I
It's
feel like someone
annoying.
explained it to me the one time, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean it's super annoying because it's like if someone actually needed to get a hold of me and I don't have their number and they're like calling me like 50 times, I'm just gonna assume it's like spam now.
Yeah.
Talking about answering machines reminded me of what I think would be a good like prank call plan for a very devious junior hire. You know how like what if you still have house phones? Like the answering machine will go off on the house phone and like the whole house can hear the house phone.
Yeah.
I feel like if you just call at like 4 a.m. with the intent that no one's going to pick up and just start screaming into the answering machine, that would be like worse. Like, you know,
Like a prank
depending
call.
on how you think of it, a more effective prank call.
Sounds like a cool prank.
I don't know if I was like at sleep at home and just
Someone's-
heard someone
Was just
screaming, I would probably freak out.
I would probably get rid of my answering machine from there on.
Yeah,
Like,
unless do you get phone service here?
no,
No,
we don't get
okay.
anything
At
from
my
them.
house, we don't get phone service.
Yes,
so,
we
like,
have to
to
have
have a
the
landline.
Yeah.
And I know there's people that have been like, they come up and they're like, "You still have a landline?"
Yeah.
You know, hey, can't
It's
get
like
phone
I
service.
need the
Yeah.
landline. Yeah, there's like not even hardly internet. here.
But iPhones now have that. Well, maybe Androids do too, but I don't know. iPhones, I know for sure, have that thing where you can set up Wi-Fi calling now.
yeah.
So I can
My Wi-Fi's not even hardly good enough for that. I don't think.
even for Wi-Fi calling. You think?
It works, I guess, but like it's pretty patchy.
Dang. Because I know I've used it a couple of times now where I can call people from it. It feels really weird because I never could before.
Yeah.
That makes it pretty nice.
I don't know. It'd be nice to get some like actual internet out here, but I don't think anyone cares enough in like the
We're
company.
in the boonies.
Yeah. I was listening to like a Joe Rogan one time and he was saying how he was like addicted to some sort of like gaming stuff and he lived in like a backwoods area and he paid the company because he has like a lot of money obviously. He paid them to run like 4 miles worth of like fiber optic crap to
Dude,
his
it's
house.
expensive.
Yeah,
I
he was
forget,
saying it
someone
was
told
so
me it
much
was,
money.
like,
But he was addicted to this game that he had to like.
I
keep
think it was
playing
Quake.
Yeah, I think it was Quake.
Quake,
Like, geez,
yeah.
I wish I could do that.
I think someone was at least around here. The CenturyLink guy was in my work the one time, and I feel like he said it was like $2,000 a mile or something. Like
yeah,
that.
it's
I don't know.
insane.
Might even
But
be more than
CenturyLink's
that.
the
Wait,
only
is
thing
fiber
here.
optic like the peak? Like
Yeah, so it's. I think it's. I don't know what the cutoff for is. It is what it. Holy cow! What the cutoff?
your
for
words, dude. Use your words.
But it's anywhere from like 25 meg. Like it can
Yeah,
be
it's-
low,
it's
25
fast,
megabytes
yeah.
to like super fast, like 1,000.
I don't really quite get how that works either. Fiber optic. It's like is it like a laser that's getting shot through this thing or what?
Dude, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's magic.
That can be for our guests to look up.
Yeah, but I know like Greg has fiber optic down in Harrisburg, and he gets like 1,000 megabytes up and down or whatever, and I don't even think that's capable to do here. So, yeah, I've been going to the local Subway to submit work assignments sometimes at like midnight because they're not open, and then like the Wi-Fi is just open, and they have pretty good Wi-Fi for around here, and Andrew gave me the password because
Oh,
it used to work.
nice.
So I am sometimes you can catch me sitting in the the subway parking lot at like midnight submitting homework because their internet's so much better than mine.
Jeez. That's crazy.
And then if that doesn't work, it's a good old trip down to Harrisburg at
Oh, yeah.
1 in the morning. Yeah.
Well, so I did look it up a little bit. It says fiber optic cables are strands of optically pure glass, as thin as human hair that carry digital information over long distances. It doesn't really tell me how it works. They transmit light.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a 7-page article. I gotta keep clicking the next page.
I do have
Classic.
I have a headset at home for like my computer and playing games and stuff, and it has a fiber optic cable that transfers sound. And if you pull it out, it's got like what looks like a little red light, and it transfers sound through light.
Huh.
Yeah, it's weird.
That is very weird.
Just like there was a guy I was watching on YouTube that
yeah. It's just
so they were saying how people can hack into like Amazon Alexa stuff with a laser pointer, basically a powerful laser pointer. And what you can do is you can transfer sound into a light wave through a laser pointer, and then hit the microphone on the Amazon thing, and it can say like Amazon or Alexa unlock the door, because you know people have their smart home stuff, and then it can just like open. You can do whatever. You can like open stuff with like a laser.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah.
Jeez, that is
So that's
scary.
pretty nuts.
Dang.
I didn't know you could do that. Like you
Yeah.
could take sound, transfer it through a laser, and then hit a microphone, and it can like pick it up.
Yikes. Yeah, that's
Dang.
weird.
Every time I stumble across an Amazon Alexa, I say, "Hey Alexa, play My Shiny Teeth and Me," and that's my story.
Well, the weird thing is they're getting all those like doorbells and those like portal from Facebook and everything. Like everywhere now is gonna have like a camera just like watching you basically. I don't want to be paranoid about it, but it's like, what do you got? Like they are pushing this portal thing and pushing this Ring doorbell thing so hard. It's like if everyone has one of those Ring whatever doorbells, and for some reason Amazon decides it, or whoever like gets a hold of Amazon stuff decides that they want to be able to like see where you're at, like they'll know whether you're
or
home or
access
not.
people's
Yeah,
houses or
exactly.
anything. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Yeah, I have one in my room, and like, so I work with people that are from the older generation for the most part, and they're like, I don't know how can you have that thing in your room? Like they're probably watching.
Yeah, it's like, wow.
Hey man, if they're watching me, they're not seeing anything
Yeah.
that interesting. So it's
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah. It's just, yeah, it's weird. I would recommend I think it's Frontline Facebook documentary. It's pretty cool. It talks about basically how like Facebook has so much power that you wouldn't really expect. And like,
Yeah.
I'm going to get this wrong, but they basically like Facebook, not Facebook itself, but people used Facebook to be able to start like a civil war over in like Eastern Europe.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, Facebook and Amazon. There was a show on TV the one time, like a documentary thing that was on like how much power they actually like
Yeah.
have. In
It might be
United
that
States, and
Frontline thing.
It could have been. It was pretty crazy. I watched it and I was like, that's absurd.
Yeah, it's
That's
insane.
nuts.
Oh my gosh.
Speaking to like lack of privacy, did you hear of it? Any of like Elon Musk's like Neuralink stuff, where we're gonna like input like AI chips that like attach to like our central nervous system, and the thought is that it
some
will
Halo stuff.
Yeah.
the thought is that it'll get to the point where like you and everyone else can communicate with, because you're just hearing each other's conscious thoughts, but there's no like filtering, so there's going to be like a weird stage where everyone knows everyone's thoughts, and there's going to be a couple weird days where people realize that everyone is thinking messed up stuff pretty much all the time.
I think you can like safely like guess that right now, though.
Yeah. I feel like also
True.
they probably wouldn't implement it until they can filter that out, right?
Maybe.
You think they would just be
I
like,
mean, they gotta
figure
test
out
it for a while, though.
Yeah,
Figure it
but-
out.
they would test it on a couple people, not just release it
Yeah,
to the
that's
public,
true,
and then
yeah.
everyone is like, everyone can hear my thoughts.
Or are we just constantly moving to less and less privacy, where people will think it's like, I don't know, beneficial? And I would have trouble making the case, but like beneficial for everyone to know everyone's thoughts. Like, you know, think of like the decrease in all crime, essentially, if you know everyone's thoughts. Like,
Yeah.
what crime could possibly happen if you know like everyone's thoughts? You can predict like any and all like things with malicious intent.
I feel like there's some times where people have thoughts like that, that don't
Yeah,
ever
that's
come
true.
to fruition or anything like
Yeah,
that.
you
Yeah.
would
So,
have
like,
to be able to filter
there's
like the intent of
people
that.
that are just mad and they're like, I could shoot my neighbor right now, and someone's like, gotta arrest him. He just had that thought. You know
Yeah,
what
that's
I mean?
true.
And then you
I guess
It's
also
like
have to-
they're really like they're like, I could just go get my gun right now. Shoot.
And if
No,
that happens,
you know
you
what I
also have to have like really agreed upon sound laws. You know what I mean? Like we talked with John Hershey about how there's like crazy laws, like you can't play tennis before 1 on a Sunday. Like technically there'd be people thinking probably a ton of things that would be breaking the law that aren't really morally wrong things,
Yeah.
that I feel like a lot of people would just be getting in trouble for no reason.
Yeah. Plus, also, a lot of times, I have thoughts that essentially originate from, like, what's the most insane thing I can think about right
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, and it's like, ooh, okay. Dark places.
So it's like, yeah, dang. When people
Yeah.
basing their judgment of
Yeah,
based
exactly.
off of some of my absolute insane thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that.
Dang. Well, should we wrap it up?
Yeah, how deep were we?
Like an hour and a half.
Yeah,
probably?
about an hour and a half.
Sounds good. Good little recap.
Yeah, I think our last recap was like 2.5 hours, and I think it
It's
was
a long
kind of
sucker.
boring. Yeah, for how long? You know what I mean? Like it was a long one, so
We got you.
we'll keep it a little shorter, maybe.
Got some good guests lined up.
We
in
do.
the next
yeah.
day, actually, and I'm sure we'll have many other goodies lined up
Yeah.
throughout 2020.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to it.
Super pumped.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
really
it'll be
glad
a
to have
fun
Hunter
time.
on screen for once.
Yeah.
I feel like we're like starting to just like basically exact replica like Joe Rogan. We're doing like the clips thing. We have like our own Jamie. We have,
Oh yeah, check out the clips if you have not yet.
yeah, I gotta get back on those. They take a
Yeah.
while actually. So I'm only like caught up to like episode 7 or 8, but yeah, I'm trying to get those out there. It is nicer because you can like, you don't have to sit through the whole podcast to just get certain like little topics.
Yeah, I know I've definitely, like Joe Rogan as an example, I've watched a lot of just clips of
Yeah.
his too.
Yeah, I watch a lot of the clips more than just his actual episodes, but
Yeah. Also, shout out to Riggin' It Gear for
yeah, that's true.
bringing you this wonderful podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Riggin' It Gear. Yeah. Anything else you think?
I don't think so. Adios, everyone.
All right. See
Yeah,
ya.
see
Thanks
ya.
for listening. Thanks for listening, everybody. You can find us on Facebook at Insights of All Trades. Find us on Instagram at Insights of All Trades. Twitter is IOAT Podcast. And send us your insights via email at insightsofalltrades@gmail.com. You can also DM us if you have some insights, and we'll include you at the beginning of the podcast. Thanks again. See you soon.